Oh, it was okay. I didn't rehearse this out loud. I was like, well, how am I going to intro this today? And apparently, this is how. It's not even how I thought I was going to come on here and go, ciao. See, my tongue already twisted. Ciao, hola, aloha. Ciao, hola, aloha. Minasan. Hopsi, Egyptianki, boys and girls. How do I say? Is it Miss Disney? E Cubierto? Men and women. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm collecting all of the acronyms apparently. Today's an NRICC 31. ICC 31, Iced Coffee Chronicles, even though she's a tea. Black cherry green tea refresher. And the NR is a nonsensical read. I woke up feeling inspired today. That's lie. Well, no, it's true. It's true. I woke up feeling inspired today. I was like, whoa, I'm up at a decent time. And then I was up for a few hours. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take a nap. I took a nap. I got up, went back to sleep. I feel like I've been up and down today, but I made it to Duncan. I feel like it's been a minute. And by a minute, I mean like a few days. But anyway, I have an idea to do something. This is why it's a nonsensical read. I had a convo with Reem maybe a few months ago now about um I think I kind of talked about it. I was watching some video. I didn't get very far into it, but it was that whole, or maybe it was like it could have been a reel on Instagram when I was scrolling. That's like one of those, let's like intuition tasks, let's develop our intuition. I have a thing. Like, let's intuit what it is, right? And I was like, I forget what it was exactly. And I feel like, I don't know how to say this. I feel like Reem's always been intuitive, but I feel like she's coming into a wisdom, or she's come into one. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like I'm fairly intuitive, but I don't know if I'd necessarily say I'm wise in the way that I'm thinking about wisdom. I feel like there is a flavor of wisdom that you could put on me, but I'm like kind of oblivious. Like, if something isn't, I don't know, it depends when my intuition wants to do something and when I'm trying to have a human experience and, we're doing whatever. Also, in the last talk, I talked about constructs. There's a lot, obviously. Um, anyway, yeah. So I forget what it was. She dropped the gems on me. She gave me a few diamonds, gems. She dropped the wisdom. I was like, wow. I feel like that's kind of sort of become our dynamic when we do speak now. It's just like her dropping wisdom and me like, oh my gosh, whoa. I hope at some point, I don't know, it's reciprocal. I reciprocate in some way. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like there's a question I want to ask. And this is, it is what it is today. I thought I was getting doing a whatever. I didn't look at it. I just pulled my hair into like this half bun thing. It's like almost a pony, but you quit halfway, and it ends up being something like a bun, kind of. Like you don't pull the hair all the way through. Hey Google. No, 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 no. We're going manual today. Manual. I got my dice. I got my coin. I'm not gonna ask Gemini to flip the coin. I'm gonna flip my own coin today. I feel like I said a lot without necessarily saying anything. I feel like I don't know if I'm doing it more. I feel like while my ability to pick up trains of thought that have just disappeared into the ether has increased, I also don't know if I'm necessarily like finishing a lot of thoughts. I mean, I've always been kind of, I'll start talking in the middle of a sentence, and sometimes I don't even finish the sentence. It's just because there's like the conversation happening up here, and then there's this, and then my brain, it's like I finish a thought and begin another one before I've said it, which is why I mentioned it before. It's why I really like, I used to do it more a long time ago, not really a lot, but it's why I like typing reads more than I like orally interpreting them. Because if I type it, excuse me, I can like follow the thoughts. Because you can always like stop a sentence, start a new paragraph, and then finish the sentence, and then it's like, build it all out. It's been a long, I was actually gonna do that because I added the report feature or like a journal feature a long time ago. I've added I mean, the program itself is like the version one, the beta, I mean, the alpha version one. Um, but I did add like a journal feature for me to like type. So it saves the roles. It, presents the prompt that I put in, and then it has space for me to type, and I can even print it or save it if I want. Right? I do want to go back, and I kind of want to combine them a little bit. I want to beef it up. I want to actually do the I Ching program where it draws the hexagrams instead of just like giving it in the window. I want to combine it with other things. There was something else I wanted to do. I was thinking about adding the geomancy too. I think the thing with I Ching and geomancy is, though, I would pretty much just be like taking information because I don't have. I mean, they're already there. I guess it's not to say it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna. There's a reason why I flip coins on the phone and not in real life. Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to embarrass myself. Don't look. Look away from your screen. I will tell you when you can return. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at this. It's because like as soon as the coin gets in the air, my eyes, it just like I lose track of it. Oh gosh, it's fine. And it's like this bright light right here. You see my palm, how shiny it is because of the light. Okay, all right. Oh! It fell in my hand too, and then it hit the floor. I told y'all. As I see it when I pick it up, as I see it when I pick it up, how it hit the floor. If I can find it. Okay. All right. Cool. Cute. So it came up heads. So there's an idea that I had. There's something that I wanted to do today. If I do this, if I show you my shiny palm, will it focus? Almost, kinda. Hello. Or not. I had this idea today. And there's a lot happening up here for the past, I want to say month. I feel comfortable saying for the past month. Um, when it comes, oh goodness, it's so much. It's so much. Is this going to be my Mercury retrograde experience where the thoughts are just, because I feel like usually my thoughts kind of run away from me. Not usually. That's a lie. I feel like they can kind of. And again, I feel like my ability to be aware of them is better, even if they start to branch off. I'm better able to like get back to the original track. But so it's like there's a clarity there, but it's like my ability to communicate it, I feel like is worse. Maybe it's because I'm more, I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. So what I'm going to do today, for the folks who have been here, y'all know me. We're going to do a not timeless reading. You know what I mean? This is not timeless. This is, I got my dice. Let's see. We have, let's do hours, days. Hours, days, weeks, and months seems like a lot. But you know what? We'll do it. We'll do it. Hours, days, weeks, and months from 1 to 4. 4 being months, 1 being hours. So 2 is days, 3 is weeks. We're looking at weeks. Okay, I can do weeks. Am I rolling a D10, a D6? We're looking at weeks? Or do I just go for the 20? Let's go for the D20. 15. So for the next 15 weeks, which might be like the rest of the summer? Question mark. See, I said I'm not going to ask. I mean, not asking Gemini isn't like a hard rule today. It's just that, you know. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It takes us to October 23rd. 15 weeks is a long time. October 23rd, is that the end of Libra season? Roughly? Roughly until the end of Libra season. Okay. Which actually takes us into the fall. That's a long time. I want to flip that coin again, but it's fine. So the reason why my idea, this is why it's a nonsensical read, y'all. Y'all, again, if you've been here for a minute, you know me. Every now and then I get a wild hair. Every now and then my whiskers get a little extra, whatever they do it. Or the planets align, or I just wake up feeling like it. That's a long time. I want to use the D6. What am I using the D6 for? Okay. So the D6, let's do this again. So we have the time period of 15 weeks. I haven't explained anything. Oh, apparently the video is clear now. Okay. I haven't explained nothing. Hold up, wait. Okay, sorry. Just had a thought. Did I put them back? I think I put them back. I guess I did. I'm like, I don't see the dice. I did put them. No, wait. Yeah, I did put them back. Okay. So, this is a nonsensical read. I feel like there's a part of me that loves playing an energy. You know what I mean? So, I flipped a coin. If it was heads, it was my green light. If it was tails, it was like a red light, but like, what if? You know what I mean? What if I had attempted to do what I'm attempting to do? If you don't, this is one of those really, 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 really use your intuition and discernment. Because, like I said, this is a nonsensical, not even iced coffee chronicle. I like playing an energy. I feel like I've got a decent amount of good karma. And I feel like Anyway, use your intuition and discernment. What we're going to do is we're basically calling in a favor. I'm going to call in a favor on behalf of the collective. This is nonsensical. We'll see. Why? I don't know. I've been thinking about this a little bit lately. Like, I'm not trying to build a platform. I've never really tried to build my platform, partially because I prefer to remain obscure. And you know what I mean? It's like I show up because a part of me feels like I want to slash I have to. But also there's a part of me again that like doesn't necessarily want to be seen and doesn't necessarily like want a spotlight. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to stay on the smaller side, on the no one's ever heard of him side. You know what I mean? So that's a huge reason why I've never had any effort to build my platform. That's why I don't do like share, subscribe, you know, that spiel for personal whatever. But also, where am I going with this? What was I? Yeah, I've been thinking about the energetic exchange lately. And for me, I guess I kind of feel like if there is anything to what I do it as a service. Right. And so it's, I guess you could think of it as like charity. It's not that I necessarily think so highly of myself, but like that's my attitude. Like that's how I treat what I do slash give. It's like it's just there to take. If it's helpful or if it resonates, I'm glad for that. But I don't know, it's like I'm compensated in other ways. You know what I mean? And it's not that I don't appreciate because I obviously do. Um, but like I'm not, as far as I know, that's not why I path my journey. And there are some that it is. You know what I mean? And obviously, it's no judgment. It's just like that's not what I'm here for. And because that's not what I'm here for, I feel like, you know, I feel free to take certain liberties, you know, and to not do whatever. Because my attitude is, you ain't got to be here. I'm doing what I do as a service for free. And if it don't resonate or if you don't like it, you can always go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And I guess I treat it as charity, like an investment. Excuse me. I would say like an angel investor, but I don't necessarily know what an angel investor is. I know they're the people that come in with the money early, honey, but I don't know if they expect like a cut of the company or whatever, or if they just do it to like do it. You know what I mean? An angel investor is a high net worth individual who provides financial backing for early stage startups or entrepreneurs. In exchange for their personal capital, they typically receive equity or convertible debt in the company. So it's like that, but without the, well, I guess the equity would be my experience, right? It's almost like if you volunteer to start a community garden or something like that, you don't necessarily, like, you're not getting paid to do it. And the only benefit to you is to the community that you live in, right? So the benefit to me is the world in which I live. And if the world gets better, and if my experience in it improves, that's payment enough for me, right? That's the energetic exchange that I seek, an improvement in like the overall collective experience. So anyway, again, I'm telling y'all, if this don't, um, How are we doing this? I feel like there were certain things I ain't think about. Maybe I ain't got to think about it yet. So, excuse me. We're gonna do this again. Days, weeks, months, hours, weeks. 6. Why is it giving me such high numbers? 6 weeks. That's the yeah. So basically, I don't know. It's like I've talked about intercessors before. That's something that my number one fan like talks about frequently. Frequently is a bit of an overstatement, but for as many times as someone typically talks about intercessors, it's a bit, right? And recently, right, when I did that, like, what kind of warrior am I? Prayer was the weapon. So this is essentially an open prayer to the collective, where apparently for the next 6 weeks, because it's not timeless. And again, who am I? You know what I mean? Who am I? But I got heads on the coin, which means I'm talking out of here and not talking out of my tail. And uh yeah. And I got some cards. I'm gonna use the mythical creature oracle cards, the prime use double tarot, and then of course the well known oracle and alchemy. I think there were some other cards that I wanted to use. I'm going to get a creature in the form of the prime muse that fulfills the archetype of whatever and has the alchemy power of whatever. I'm actually going to do multiple. That's why I'm using these. We'll do both. Oh my gosh, why are they so high? I want to take the lower of the two. On the D6, I rolled a 3. On the D4, I rolled a 4. Why am I rolling so high on the D4 today? Like, I feel like usually, if I were playing an actual game of D&D, I'd be rolling 1s and 2s. It's fine. Now, technically, I was supposed to take the D4. But I was thinking 3. And the D6 came out with 3. So there's going to be like 3 different, 3 to 4. How about this? We'll do 3 and a wild card. Cool, if I remember. I'm putting the dice back. So, yeah. And we're basically calling I feel like calling in a favor is a bit not extreme, but I mean that's fairly accurate, right? It's so funny. I had a conversation with. I really wish I had a word for her. I don't need like my best friend's wife. Like I feel like our dynamic is so interesting to me because it's like we have the makings of best friendship, but I feel like we just don't get enough exposure to one another, if that makes sense. Like his wife is honestly one of my favorite people. Honestly, she's up there with my best friends. But her husband was my best friend first. And they can both be my best friend, but they're like my best friend for different reasons. And if I really think about it, she is in the top of my favorite people. I don't know what this is. Um, honestly, anyway, we had a conversation kind of sort of the other day, and in a lot of ways, we're kind of like on the same page, which is interesting. Um, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So it's kind of like I wouldn't call myself an intercessor. I feel like I have the ability to intercede, but I don't think I have the ability, but not necessarily always the interest, if that makes sense. And I think that's because it's partially because of karma, partially because I don't know what people doing to be in the situations and circumstances that they're in, for one. And for two, like I've lived and like I've journeyed enough of my journey to know the of the things that, like the places that I've only reached through hardship, and the lessons that I've had to learn the more challenging way, or the things that the ways in which I grew from difficult circumstance. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's more of a thing than the first one, where it's kind of like I don't know if this is something necessary. I feel like there are times when it's like pretty clear. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah. So when we had that talk, I was like, man, like I wish, because it was basically like sometimes an intuition test could be tapping into what the person who's issuing the test is tapping into. And depending on the person, it could be anything. You know what I mean? And so then I was like, whoa, so like, is that like an invitation, or is that like, and then it was just one of those, like the conversation turned into like if you've ever had like that summer camp moment, or that evening, that afternoon, or that week where you almost like lived a different life, right? You're around different people and you're doing, and it's like really fun and it's amazing and it's like life changing because it's like a break from your normal, but in a way that like almost reminds you of how magical life can be, if that makes sense. And so my takeaway from that was like, I wish that like, I don't know, I could give a little taste of how magical life could be. You know what I mean? And I feel like there is the very real, very there golden opportunity, keystone, arch way, whatever. And I don't know, you know, every now and then I like to, I don't know, cash in some of my good karma for the benefit of others. And then I'm like, I wish I knew how to like cash it in for me. You know what I mean? Almost, I feel like almost a little rumpled stilt skinny in the way of like you can spin straw into gold for other people, but you can't like fill your own coffers. You know what I mean? And also partially too, it's like what I want my experience to be. I'm not saying I want challenge and hardship, but I don't necessarily want everything just given to me either. Because what I really love is like learning and growing and developing and evolving. I feel like my interest in developing and evolving is rooted in my love for learning and growing. When it comes to evolution, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, this is a bit much. But I like the feeling of like mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Mentally and spiritually, yes. Like we're growing, we're evolving, our worldview is getting so much wider. Emotionally, I'm like, woo! You know what I mean? But it's all a part of the same. You know what I mean? So anyway, for the next 6 weeks, and I'm not gonna take this down. So if you, I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. It's just, I don't know. It's not that I'm sick and tired of all the timeless reads, but I feel like I feel like there are things that are timeless, and I think there are some things that may not necessarily be timeless, even though we just say this is a timeless thing, right? And are we like, this is a timeless read because that's part of the spiel that we kind of sort of observe in the quote unquote community? And so, like, we just say it, or is it actually timeless? Because I just wonder, right? Like with the whole confirmation birth thing, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's one of those things that I'll see everywhere. And I'm like, is this learned, observed, or is there like an actual truth to this? You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. And maybe it's just not me. I don't know. I feel like that was another thought that I didn't necessarily finish when I was on that chalk the other day. The sunrise chalk. Maybe that's what I'll title it. The one that was like super shaky, apparently. It's like when I first got my deck, intuition, discernment, communion with divine said, you can do the tarot, but that's it. All that extra stuff, not for you. At that point in time, I wouldn't know what all that extra stuff was for at least another, that was November when I ordered the cards. And I want to say like, not even June, July, maybe like a year. But when it came to the other stuff, it never resonated for me anyway. But maybe that preempted me to just use like my discernment in terms of what all gets incorporated into my practice, right? I don't have to necessarily incorporate everything just because that's what I see or observe for me. And I think sometimes that can be one of the reasons why some people might like get into something, see all that it comes with, and take it all in as like a package deal, and then kind of sort of end up in a space that doesn't necessarily align to them. I don't know. Anyway. I don't know if, I mean, I guess I do. I guess I do, but I don't know. I'm not saying it ain't for nobody, but it's not for me. Ugh. Why do I miss my best friend? My best friend is in the US this for like a minute. And I'm like, man, I wish I could go see him, but it's fine. There's other things I need to focus on right now. And I'm like, if you come by Chicago, I should be like, you should have flew out of Chicago. Hello? You should have flew out of Chicago or flew into Chicago. I can meet you up there. Anyway. Yeah, but that's kind of sort of been my journey. I'm just like living my life, journeying my journey. And then I find like the confirmations and the synchronicities hours, days, weeks, months, decades later. And then I'm like, whoa. So that's, I'm like, okay. I don't know. Every now and then, it's almost like every now and then I'll be made aware of a resource, like a legitimate resource. And I don't know, it doesn't, I don't know if it's just me or if there's like truth to it, where it's like I gotta like figure this out on my own. I don't necessarily want to be beholden to any system because I think personally there's just like a lot of information that I would need to know to do things properly, if that makes sense, because there's an order to things. And I'd rather intuit in order and find my flow than like dive into something more often than not. Anyway, this half an hour, is that 34 minutes? Oh my gosh, ramble aside. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I'll keep talking about it. When I mentioned constructs and how, like, I'll have this whole, like, vision or this whole experience that's basically boiled down to an image. And then it's like that image is what's stored in the back of my mind. So it's like I'm working off this flat image of a vision or of whatever. And there's a lot of like boundaries in what I do. And it's interesting because when I was visiting family, I guess a few months ago now, um, like the limitations of the cards came out. And I was like, I wonder if there's some things that like are beyond the cards. But it wasn't until maybe that day or the day before I went on that chalk that I remembered when it was probably that day when I was like, that flat image was actually like a whole vision. Like there was a whole vision that they came out with. And so to get this confirmation now, literally years later, is like kind of wild. And again, it's just like the energy of it that came up first, and then I see the geomancer, which reminds me of the static image, not even necessarily thinking about the whole vision. Kind of, but it was still just an image. And then to get the confirmation, I'm like, okay. But another thing that I did before I got on YouTube is, again, I had that conversation of like sort of what's for me and what's not for me. I did my journeying, I did my healing. I used to type in the comments of some people videos back. Girl, that's how you know I was really, because now I ain't in nobody comments. And I ain't necessarily talking about nothing besides the odd dream here and there and the bits and pieces of the dream. But sorry, I'm just like thought of another dream. There was like, you could say a sacred space. Yeah, there was a sacred space that I had found and formed, delineated within myself for the first year or two. Actually, the first 2 years, it would go through different changes at different times. And I remember, I think it was like the summer of 2019 when it's just like that sacred space had like shut down and it was like inaccessible and it was going through like this whole upgrade. And then after that, but so after I constructed that sacred space, I basically put different functions to different things. And because when I'm like reading cards and stuff, it's like I'm open and exposed in a way. Within the construct of that, I had limited that to this much. And this much is really like this much, but metaphorically, this much. Metaphorically, this much. And I kind of did that so that, I don't know, to like automate things and make things easier. Right. And then it's just like trust the divine and like the boundary, trust the divine to like maintain boundaries and stuff like that. Every now and then, maybe you like, I don't know. But I guess, and again, like, I felt like there were certain parts that I wasn't necessarily ready to access because there are parts of me, I guess, that's like, I don't know, it's like that doesn't necessarily conform to my muggle fantasy. I'm a human having a human experience. You know, a little bit. So, but then I'm like, oh yeah. And it is kind of wild because, again, like I did all that the first 2 years of my journey. Like literally before I found all the like the astrology and tarot and everything like that I found on YouTube, the space was already built. Those conversations were already had. So now as I'm learning new things, I'm at that point I'm not even necessarily consciously sort of doing it, but it's like my discernment is always like, does this align for me? What parts align for me? You know, like where does the alignment in this whole thing, like let's say I get 10 pages of a thing, and if I highlight what aligns and what resonates for me, that 10 pages may boil down to like a page and a half. that actually applies to me or that I may find useful in sort of cobbling together my own whatever. And maybe it's because, again, before I got into anything, that conversation, like my discernment was already at the forefront. But it's like I did all that and then I forgot. But the construct was already made. The division of whatever had already happened. So that's why for me, I think, because again, by the time this was kind of sort of happening, I kind of forgot about it. I did it intentionally, but then I kind of forgot. Where it was like, I like using the cards because it's like I can read the energy and I don't have to get too close. You know what I mean? Because I feel like there have been times, even still, there may be times where it's like, I know I'm sitting down to read, but I ain't necessarily want to read all this. You know what I mean? And it's like, oof, especially like it happened to me one time, maybe a few times, where it's like you read someone IRL and like you're not in a private space. And you're like, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. You'll get it. And if you don't, the time will come where you will. And yeah, it's just like, because then you look to the side and it's like, oh, girl. Anyway, anyway. I don't know. I wish I had some like credentials, but that's what I'm like. Don't if it don't resonate, if you don't trust it or trust me, do not take it, please. Even if you do, don't. I'm kidding, but yeah, it's just like I don't know. And then I feel like there are parts of my path and journey or the way that I work where it's like I almost gotta say or speak certain things, which makes sense if you think about it. Anyway, let's just get into it. I did get heads on the coin toss. So the initial period, this is not timeless. This, especially like if this is a sort of open favor, like I'm cashing in my. Let's see. Are we doing this twice? Let's do this twice. Because a part of me is like, I don't know. But I will say, again, maybe we should get into it first. But again, this is just like, this is an open whatever. And if there's one thing about me, it's that clarity and honesty are kind of like big parts of how I work and operate. Um, and I feel like there's probably an extension, right? So it's like if I'm calling in a favor, essentially, and someone cashes that favor in, then be prepared for maybe some clarity and honesty. So if there's some things that you don't want to face, this may not be the one for you. Yay, he landed. Yeah, he'll probably call me at some point, but maybe tomorrow. Maybe he'll get some rest. Yeah, so but last time I did one of those self readings, how many cards of honesty, truth was it? Anyway, some people can call in favors, maybe. That's my brand of intercession. All right. What is required for this? Well, in the D100, 44. Okay. 44 is what, and then do I have enough, spiritual coins in the bank? I'm like, okay. 55. Okay, what's up with these master numbers? That leaves me with 11. So yeah, it takes 44. I got 55. I feel like, that's enough. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I could have just see, but then I don't want to, I'm going to be upfront and honest because I don't want to present this as like, oh, the divine is just doing this and that and whatever. And then whole time it's me and the energy of like calling in a favor to make people's experiences better because maybe we're just in that pivotal of a moment. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just feels like again, there's like that golden energy opportunity archway type energy. And I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, we'll pull the cards to see if it's like finding it, if it's ease. I mean, there could be a lot of things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's almost sort of because I'm the type of we got to do whatever sort of ourselves. Maybe it also echoes through in the way that I go to the divine or in the way that the divine shows up for me and for other people. Like there have been times where, again, prayer is a mighty thing and things will change, things will happen, things will come through. But again, ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to be the ones to live our lives because we got free will, right? Okay. Anyway, all right. There's only going to be one of these though. I'm gonna shuffle all these up again. Well, I can do this one last. We'll do this one a few times. Imagine 46 minutes in. Yeah, and I feel like if you're familiar with me, you'll probably know the vibe of like the energies that I work with and the energies that work with me. So this, I'm using the Prime Muse double majors. I think I'm pretty sure there's double majors and um, court cards. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clean flip or clean fall the first, and then I'm gonna pull before and after its counterpart. And again, I want to like, I feel like there's no way to necessarily clarify besides just pulling more cards, right? It's like I want to present as much whatever up front because I'm not, you know what I mean? We're going to get three of these. I'm just going to pull them off the top. There'll be an alchemy and archetype combo. And then we'll approach that wild card in some way. Um, Maybe we'll get a star dragon or something for the wild card. I'm gonna pull these off the tap. That's why I'm shuffling them again. We're gonna do three. Yeah. Shapeshifter and the Starborn at the cut, and then the Shapeshifter and the Dead End, which I love. We're turning dead ends into new begins. I just saw that something about what looked like dead ends being new beginnings or something like that on some platform, probably Instagram. Okay, cool, cute. Well, this is where we are. Let's see. I rolled two D10s. It said I needed 44 and I rolled a 55. So what's the mythical creature associated with this flavor? With this flavor? It's funny because I actually had a dream about a creature. I had a dream about a creature. I talked to Eve about it. I needed to tell somebody so that if I wanted to like reference it or find it, like what day did I have that dream? I just got to remember Eve is the person that I told. And now, as I sat down, there's been a lot of confirmations. So I feel like I called myself a pathworker before I had a dream. I had a dream one time that I was in like this scenario situation. It was like in a space that was filling with sand. It was very pyramid Egypt, tomb of the pharaoh coded. So it was filling up. We get to another room. There was me and this other person who I almost feel like I've also dreamed about recently. I guess if I think about our connection and what it was, it makes sense. Um anyway, that person could like open portals and I could expand the portal, right? So if the portal was a pinprick, I couldn't create portals, but I could expand them wide enough for like, people to make it through. Or it's not like this really obscure one thing all the way over there. It's like something that we're like aware of, right? And there were like other people who were like trying to do whatever. And then I was just like chilling out. There was like a row of sphinxes with a little, I guess, person sized gap. And I'm just sitting there. And then someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, can you whatever? And I'm like, if you're looking for someone to like create a portal, I can't do that. But if you're looking for someone to expand one, I'm your guy. And then it's funny because it's like we had that conversation, and then because the dream started in this room that was like filling up with sand, right? That's how it started. But after whatever that conversation was like, we went back, like I went back to the beginning of the dream. So it's like now I got the context for why. Anyway, I had this dream the other day, and now I'm like, wait, this was years ago. I used to have a lot of dreams. I mean, I still do. I don't talk about them as much as I used to. Anyway, so if the Sphinx comes out, I feel like that would be kind of appropriate. You know what I mean? I don't know. All right. Clean flipper, clean. Ooh. Hold up. Ooh, girl. I don't know. We're just going to go with it. That's why we're also doing this. The card that came out, same time period, same place, same mythological sphere. Um, Amit, which is interesting because I went on a whole little Gemini deep dive about the feather. Apparently, it's an ostrich feather, and Amit is the one that feasts on the heavy-hearted. I'm like, oh, girl. Let's see. See, what I was gonna do was also like, before we do that, let's do this. Okay. Amit represented by. I want a clean flipper, clean fall, one guard, please. And we got it. It's the Knight of Pentacles. If there's anything about my energy, it's the Knight of Pentacles, girl. So now we look before and after the other Knight of Pentacles. I almost didn't recognize it because I'm like, what is happening? Okay. Between the King of Pentacles and the Page of Cups. Interesting. We got the Hermit and the Knight of Wands. The Hermit was before, I think, the King of Pentacles, and the Knight of Wands is after that Page of Cups. And it's this Hermit. It's the Hermit that is building a fire. Because there's the lantern. I don't know why, but it's like the Hermit has used the light inside of its lantern to light this fire. Now, it feels like it's almost like when the Hermit is done with the fire, he opens, it's like a glass door cage to the lantern. He opens the lantern and then the fire gets like whooshed back into the lantern, and then he picks it up, and he's like parked here for a minute. Oh my gosh! You ever feel like, I don't know if, see, the first the first thing I said when it was like a part of the reason that I gave two reasons. One of them because I have an understanding and appreciation for the things that we go through to like learn and grow. The first one was that it's very much the energy of like you'll see somebody on Facebook, social media, whatever, that's like, pray for my brother, mother, cousin, auntie, whoever, and you're like, but what did they do though? You know what I mean? Because this could be like, judgment could have been passed, and if judgment is passed, I want to know no part of it, because anyway, that hermit is interesting. All right, I said we're going to pull out the top. So the first archetype is Mortifactio in reverse. Is this like an energy of second chances, maybe? With the archetype of the womb on its side and the thunder pouring down. These are all the cards I have. I was going to use that one too. The Page of Cups and the King of Pentacles. Part of me is like, is this a mistake? It's only open for 6 weeks. And it's, I think, especially when it comes to, I feel like maybe there's an energy of repentance that's kind of here. Or like, if it's sincere, then it's almost like the point isn't necessarily to be punished, it's to grow in some way, shape, or form. And if that growth only happens as a result of punishment, then the punishment is necessary. You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't learn until we get caught, and until the verdict, until the punishment is like meted out. That's where the learning happens. And until that moment, it's like, if we can keep getting away with something, then we'll just keep getting away with it. You know what I mean? Why did I pull my phone out? I don't remember. But even the King of Pentacles is like, is he pulling out the pentacle, or is he putting it in his coat? You know? See, because what I'm not going to do is, I was going to look for 6 weeks out. 6 weeks out. That takes us to, all right, October 23rd was 15 weeks. 15 is a 6. So there's a 44, 55, 66 energy kind of here, which is interesting, I guess. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That takes us to the 21st of August, which is roughly, no, because Libra starts. That's roughly to the end of Leo season. Cool. So from now until the top of Virgo season, part of me is like, I don't know. That's fine. Let's just keep going. Mortifactio in reverse. Okay. The second one is Sparks of Light, Scintillae upright, which is number 44. 46, sorry. XLVI. Sparks of Light, okay. With the archetype of the kiss also on its side. We got the womb. Like, the womb and the kiss are like, are kind of touching. They come out like this. Like this, like this. And then the third is Aries, Mars in reverse, with the archetype of the river upright. And we're just going to get all of these at once. Out of all of the mythical creatures to come out, this is the one that I'm least excited about. You know what I mean? So I'm like, But I feel like I feel like an energy similar to this did come out recently, where it was like, when it comes to moving forward, some may remember while others forget. All right, clean flipper, clean fall for the wild card, please. Ooh. Is that just one? That was a lot of noise. The dragon that came out is number 5, Miracle, making a difference. Look, the lantern. So you could say that. Where's the hermit? The fire of the hermit draws the dragon down. Sharing the miracles. Under the hermit is justice. Wow. This justice, she is not blind. She said, you doing what now? Justice, Scales of Anubis, Ma'at. Under justice, if you'll believe it, under justice is justice. Behind the hermit is both justice cards. Who is this? Queen of Cups. I mean, that is kind of the energy of that golden archway. Okay, cool. All right, let's get into it. Now is the part where I just do a bunch of reading. Now is the part where I read the book because wait, yeah, I think they are alphabetical. Is this the first one? Yep, the first mythical creature. Hamut. Justice, judgment, law, rules, right versus wrong, truth, honesty, shattering illusions, decisiveness, order, balance, consequences, punishment, and executioner are the keywords. See, there's that truth and honesty. I did say that at the top. And I feel like that's what makes this sort of work. Anyway, let's read the mythological background coming from ancient Egypt. Amut, Amit, or Amemite. Amemite. Amut is a female monster of divine origin. She was deeply feared by the ancient Egyptians, who called her the devourer of the dead or the eater of souls. She is a combination of a crocodile, lion, and hippopotamus. These 3 animals were regarded as the most dangerous of man-eaters. If a dead person's soul is eaten by Amut, then they cease to exist, instead of being allowed to enjoy the afterlife. To the Egyptians, this was the equivalent of going to hell. Yet, Amut was not actually evil. She simply served to enforce the divine law that was put into place by the gods. The Egyptians believed that when a person died, their soul entered a place called the Hall of Two Truths. There they met Ma'at, the goddess of justice. Her symbol is a large white ostrich feather called the feather of truth. It's right here. I literally asked Gemini and I had a book. I had the resources literally in the same room. Anyway, it's an ostrich feather. There you go. We talked about the ostrich feather also. It came out again. Cool. Her symbol is a large white ostrich feather called the feather of truth. The deceased must swear before her that they had been virtuous in life by reciting a list of moralistic declarations. Thoth, the god of wisdom, then judges the dead person's soul by weighing their heart against the feather of truth. The Egyptians believed that the heart was the organ that contained the soul. If the person's heart was laden with sin, it would be heavier than the feather. In such a case, the heart would be tossed over to Ammut, who would immediately devour it. Okay, so it's just, there's divine laws and rules. Ammut isn't a creator, just an enforcer. She simply served to enforce the divine law. Also, we get Thoth, which is interesting just because in the SKT, we saw the deserter, the Eight of Cups in the Vitruvian edition, the sepia toned edition. It was the deserter and the initiate, right? And it's like when the deserter deserted that sepia toned initiation, it went into full color. In full color, we saw Thoth up there next to that moon doing whatever. And now there's mention of the god of wisdom here. See, there's a reason why this is a nonsensical read. But we do also have the energy of miracle making a difference as that wild card. And that's literally a wild card. A miracle is literally a wild card. Am I reading all of these? The womb, the kiss, the river. The womb is a place. The kiss is a thing. The river is a place. The kiss. Okay. The kiss feels like the meeting point between the womb and the river. Like there's the waters of the womb, and then there's the waters that flow in the river. It's also interesting, I guess, because Ammut is associated with the underworld, and the rivers of the underworld came up, the energy of them at least came up in the last one. And then there was Hermes, Hermes Mercury, Quicksilver. There was a Hermes Mercury that it's like could bypass the reverse. And then we saw something. It's fine. Anyway, I actually had a dream some time ago. There was a house. I forget what it was about the house, but I know in the basement of the house, it was like there were two rivers that intersected. But it was like the waters of one river flowed under the waters of another river. And both of these are in reverse. Mortifactio was in reverse. Aries, Mars is in reverse. The sparks of light is upright, and that's where the kiss is. I feel like that was a lot of preamble. But so in the dream, the reason why I mentioned the Sphinx, I had a dream the other night that I saw something in the dream. I was like, it's a griffin. But in reality, so like I had this dream, I sent Eva a voice note, I turned on my anime. Literally that episode, they're like trying to find the gold. Their test is to find and recover gold from a griffin's nest. And I was like, and then I'm looking at these griffins. I was like, okay, what I saw in my dream was like a reverse griffin, because it was like an eagle bird in the back and a different animal up front. And so Amit sort of being a combination of different animals is interesting. Now I really wish I could remember all the parts. It was one of those things. Every now and then I'll have a dream that when I wake up, I'm like, that dream is so like fresh in my mind, and the imagery is so rich and vivid still that there's no way I'm gonna forget this. And then after like half an hour to an hour, the details are already slipping. um, cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess we're here, so we'll just keep reading. Although it's the energy of a miracle, it is still associated because of Amit through divine law, which almost in a way, I feel like there are a lot of times where um, sometimes 11111, it was just 11111 on the time. I've seen 1111 like twice today. I saw it on the clock. I saw it as a street address, and then it was just 11111 on the clock. Apparently that number is floating around. 11111, 1111, 44, 55, 66. Was there a 66? Yeah, because 15 would be 6, but a two-digit 6. And then 6. 15 was 15 weeks, 6 weeks. Oh, hold up, wait. We didn't roll the windows up and it's raining. All right, I'm back. They've already taken care of the windows. I was like, I thought of. Anyway, it's fine. It felt like it was going to rain earlier. I'm sensitive to these things now. When it's warm, when it's been real warm and you get that nice cool breeze, it seemed like 9 times out of 10, maybe 7 to 9 times out of 10, there's a 70 to 90% chance it's going to rain. Because the warm air and the cool air, when they mix, precipitation happens. So, okay, back to this. At first, I was like really nervous because I'm like, ooh, girl. But now I'm like, I feel good about it because it doesn't feel like divine law is infringed upon. Like, this isn't someone's on the chopping block, their heart is getting weighed against a feather, and then the favor that Patrick called in is making the feather heavier so that, to balance out, because you can't make a heart lighter. But before I like dive into it, it's almost like because we live on earth in society, there's a difference between like capital T truth, relative truths, and like the court of man versus like divine law. And a lot of times it's like because of the space for us to have an experience, you could say like divine law loses out in the court of man. But this miracle is a moment, or the miracle helps to create a moment for divine law to like win and to triumph. So, for example, it's fine. I don't have to get it. Oh, yeah. For example, it would almost be like, let's say that like you're an upright person and you always do the right thing, but like you get taken advantage of or you get looked over or whatever. This would be calling in a favor to basically have your efforts recognized so that you win, right? All that you do is for all that you do to be rewarded. And I mean, in general, that's not something that I feel like you need to call a favor in for, but maybe sometimes you kind of do. It's almost like how you could have an advocate in some scenarios and situations, you know what I mean? Somebody to advocate for you on your behalf, where it's like, no, like this person, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And so they shouldn't be looked over. Their efforts should be recognized. And maybe there's people in positions that just aren't aware because of their separation from the situation. All they have is the hearsay of what they're being told type energy. Okay. So it feels more like the good guy wins, or the good person, like they finish first instead of coming in last and being screwed over. Feels more like that and less like someone's on, trial for things that they actually committed and Patrick's calling in a favor to have the judge look the other way. You know what I mean? Because when it was almost that energy, I'm like, I don't know about this. Cool. All right, I can get down with this. And it's funny that we start with Mortifactio in reverse because the number today, the ICC number, is 31. And 13 is the number associated with death in the major arcana, right? What if I started saving these? Wouldn't that be wild? Ordered at 6:39:14 p.m. You see that? Number 31. Maybe. No, well, it says 31. I think you got a glimpse of it. So this is death in reverse. Cool. And I feel like this is possible. You know, this isn't crazy. Calling in a miracle on your own merit. Cool. I can get behind this. Do I need to read all these? I will say Mars in reverse, giving the energy of like things that you've already done that you don't need. It's like it's not about taking action now, it's about actions that have already been done. Sparks of light. And it's interesting because it's like with the kiss, there's like, did you feel the spark? Were you seeing fireworks when you like, maybe that's rom-com. But for the folks who know, maybe it's real, you know what I mean? Cool. But now I'm like, hold up. There's a D6 and a D8. I got two of these. Because a part of me is like, not that I necessarily mind. There's a D8 and a D20. What am I rolling these for? Okay. This is what we're going to do. Because it was 55. 55. 5 plus 5 is 10. So we'll do the D10. We'll roll a D. I feel like I have to roll the same, right? 12 plus 8 is 20. So I'm going to roll the D20 and then I'm going to roll a D8 and a D12. Because now that I'm into it, I'm like, part of this is like no favor necessary. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I feel like the interesting part about this is, though, what it means for another. Oh, the D8 is literally right here. Okay. So we'll do, yeah, a D12, a D8, a D20, and a D10. Okay. So the D10 is the favor. The D20 is what we have to beat. The D12 plus the D8 is how things naturally play out. And I do want to do this in a box so they don't just like go everywhere. And the Star Dragon box is a perfect one. So 18. Oh, okay. All right. 18 is what we have to beat, which is also moon card energy. On the D, and it's funny how they came out together. On the D12, I rolled an 11. On the D8, I rolled 3. So that's 14. On the D10, I rolled a 5. So it does help. Right? We need an 18. It came out 14. 14 plus 5 is 19. So we beat the roll. And we end up in a sun energy rather than the moon. So this is like a temperance plus the Hierophant. Temperance 14 plus the Hierophant 5 equals 19 the sun. Ooh. Well, with 5 being the Hierophant, it kind of sort of is within the realm of the Hierophant's domain to approach the divine on behalf of whatever and maybe, hope for a little miracle. So cool. I actually love that. Yeah. All right. Let's do this as 3 separate things. Right? Am I time stamping this? Sure. I'm doing it here. Oh man, it's so dark. Oh wait, 122. I can almost see it. So we'll do Mortifactio R for reversed. We'll do Scintillae. 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 And then we'll do Aries in reverse as the 3 different things. So Mortifactio is 123.23. Cool. All right. So we'll break these down one by one. I'm calling in a little bit of a favor, and we'll see how this be. And also, I love it ended up working out. This nonsensical read is partially making a little bit of sense. This is number 68, LXVIII. Is this the last alchemy? No, it's not. Mortifactio, mortification. This is decay, death, and decomposition. So decay, death, and decomposition in reverse. Mortifactio is the great alchemical operation of darkness. The great alchemical operation of darkness in reverse with sparks of light being the next card out. Imagine. I mean, you don't have to. It came out. I mean, I guess you kind of have to because you can't see the cards. But, I'll hold them up. What was once composed now decomposes. What was once presentable is now despicable. This stage cannot be avoided. The underworld has taken us into the dark interior of its belly, and here we reside until spring. Through the natural process of decay, we descend into depths we didn't know existed. The alchemist soon finds mortification is a stage of regeneration and sacred power, where the soil is fertile and rich, offering nourishment for tomorrow. This stage cannot be rushed. The darkness must have time to do its work, to dismantle and to loosen, to free us from old scripts and stories. As we learn to surrender to this great operation, the earth churns and wisdom whispers in the dark. She envelops us with grace and the promise of what's to come. To go deeper, read the Egyptian story of Osiris. To ponder, is there anything that does not end? This is the. Sorry. There's an eye in mortification. See that little eyeball? There's an eyeball. And it's in reverse. Also, we got our ties to ancient Egypt, underworld. Again, we got Amut. Instead of descending into depths we didn't know existed, maybe we'll be reaching heights that we couldn't conceive of. How about it? How about that? That. Ooh. Okay. I don't know. Just go with it, or don't. 46. The womb. XLVI. Hold up. Wait. We got 46. 46. XLVI. XLVI. Interesting. Oh, wait. Hold up. Yeah. The womb. Okay. All right. I was like, whoa, I skipped up. I'm working ahead of myself. The womb. This is the nest, the belly, the origin. Everything has an origin story. The womb archetype asks us to contemplate the beginning beyond the beginning, the mother beyond the mother. In a world that often negates the power and necessity of feminine principles, this card returns us to the warmth, tenderness, and sacred intelligence from which we came. It is a card of receiving, not achieving, of accepting love from the mother of us all. She is the life giving force that forgives and cherishes even the most wounded and disparate soul. No matter how lost you are, the womb awaits your return to help you heal and grow. This card is a call to keep things simple, to return, to be reborn in the name of love. The womb is everywhere. It is beyond gender, beyond time. We are within it as it is within us. When light, it's nourishment, harmony, warmth, and love. When dark, it's stricken ecological crisis, infertility, and imbalance. And to go deeper, Gustave Courbet's The Origin of the World. Interesting. So was this like in the darkness beyond darkness? Because the womb is where was it? The beginning beyond the beginning, the mother beyond the mother. In context of Mortifactio, the great alchemical operation, it's the darkness beyond darkness. And in the darkness beyond darkness, there is light. Now I'm like, should I use this deck? Interesting. Because we have the Hermit here, right? In the darkness beyond darkness, there is light. See, the little fire calls down the dragon. Where's the person in this card? Is this one of the only ones? Oh, no, it's there. I couldn't tell. Here's the person. That is so interesting. Okay. There's a synchronicity here, which is interesting because this is something that I thought about fairly recently. This is something that I think about fairly recently. Also, this I feel like okay. If you're new here, if you're not, let's say that. If you're not new here, if you've been around for at this point at least half a decade, because well, actually, maybe was that 2021? I think that was 21. Mm, because that was 21, 22. It's been some time. And I thought about this recently, which is interesting because the Empress came out as like when I did the personal interview spread as the third in that trio of self reads. The Empress came out, and the eighth card as like how to progress things. She came out with the Two of Cups, and at first I didn't really get it. Well, I mean, there was an immediate interpretation of it, but then there were things that I remembered. I was like, oh. And one of the things that I remembered is being on here years ago talking about the womb. Also, there's a reason why there are boundary restrictions on the womb. You can't just let everybody into the womb. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, hopefully you never find out. But because I was on here and I was talking about the womb. I was like, my womb, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, I'm a man. I don't have a biological womb, but I definitely have like a spiritual, energetic one. And in the entry for the room, it's beyond gender. We all got masculine and feminine energies, regardless of what like solidifies in the biology and all of the whole spectrum in between, right? Was it like there are more intersex people than gingers, than people with red hair? I don't know. I mean, I feel like ginger is just like blondes, brunettes, gingers. What do you got people with like black hair, darker than a brunette? That's not the point. Um, I don't know. Sometimes, depending on the person, it can feel a little like derogatory or feel like a pejorative. I laugh because Z-Way and the pejoratives of Tiffany Pollard and Portia. She used the word in those. Um. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, because I said that. Anyway, in the darkness beyond darkness, there is a light. See, now I have the Fable Makers animated tarot. I have both editions of the SKT out. I feel like now I want to like dive into these and get a little bit more context. Now I could, because this is obviously Hermit energy, I could look before and after the Hermit. And but I haven't shuffled these. Every now and then I'll do a as they are, if that's the energy. It kind of feels like it could be, but I also just want to shuffle it anyway. But I don't know if I necessarily want to take the time to shuffle it. You know what I mean? It's fine. Let's shuffle them up. Let us shuffle them up. Let us shuffle them up. Shuffle them up. Shuffle them up. And it's interesting that it was the womb on the side. I don't know. Sacred Fire, Ace of Scepters, The Awakening was the final card last time. And we're talking about the Sacred Fire here that attracts the energy of miracles. The light that it's drawn to. With the golden shield, power and authority of fire. So the final card, I already put it in the middle of the deck. The final card was that Sacred Fire, and then there's the guardian of that Sacred Fire. Is the Golden Shield lore opening? The lore of the Ivory Shield is the BTFU STFU Mind Your Business Queen. She that stands at the threshold of all that is sacred and holy. There is the Ebony Shield, that's the Divine Temptress. And then the Golden Shield and the Scarlet Shield don't necessarily have lore as of yet, but we may be getting into the lore of the Golden Shield. The Dynasty and the Warrior at the cut. In the Dynasty, we see the flower that blooms in the void. Look at the sun above that warrior. The flower is you. You are the flower that grew. Okay. Well, Sacred Cinnabar, Ace of Swords, the consummating, with the warrior at the bottom of the deck. Behind the warrior is the demon. Under the demon is the dynasty. See, it's like with the demon and the dynasty, they're both Capricorn energies, but it's like there was a reason why something was void, right? But with the birth or return of the warrior, I want to say the birth of the warrior because we're working with the womb. With the birth of the warrior, she defeats the demon and returns life to the void, or instigates life from the void. And then we have this Ace of Swords. So the warrior is the mastic of the mystic light. Mystic light being like heavily hermit coded energy. The hermit, the mystic, the light, the lantern, you know what I mean? And then we have the Sacred Cinnabar, Ace of Swords. Again, this is the one that came out with the crown on the sword, and then we have the shield sort of behind it. Also, it's the crown. It's the rose on the crown. You see the flower of the sun, and then on the crown, we got that. There's the sword. This symbol right here on the sword, we saw that symbol in something very similar in the season of summer, maybe? I think it was summer. The Alchemy of Summer. Was it like 18? Okay, let me just go to the table of contents. Cosmic forces, colors, seasons. Summer's number 18. I was right. I did just see it. Remember this? So it's like this, but like, oh wait, like that? So if summer came out on its side like the kiss did, it would give us a symbol very similar to the one on this Ace of Swords. If you can, there we go. Yeah, there you go. Now, is the sword different? Because the warrior feels like the person. So, again, contacts and content, contacts and context outside of here. I was I don't even think I watched the whole reel. I think I was scrolling reels and I came across it. It was Orpheus and Eurydice. I remember, but usually I can only remember one. If I remember Orpheus, I forget Eurydice. If I remember Eurydice, I forget Orpheus. It was basically like Orpheus's task was impossible. Orpheus, so Eurydice passes, like right as Orpheus and Eurydice get married, Orpheus journeys to the underworld, makes a deal eventually after much convincing, makes a deal with Hades, Pluto. Well, Hades, because Orpheus, I think, is like the Greek, right? Anyway, makes a deal with Hades that if Orpheus can make it out of the underworld without turning back, then Eurydice would be freed. She would, free to return from the underworld. But if he turned back, then she would go back where she was. Now, Eurydice at this point was like a shade or a ghost. So her footsteps made no noise. She didn't breathe. He just had to trust that she was behind him. And at the finish line, basically, his doubt or suspicion, question mark, won out. He turned around to make sure Eurydice was behind him, and then she went sucked back into the underworld. He was literally at the end. Someone said it would have been impossible. It was an impossible task. So here, it's like with the womb and Mortifactio in reverse. This miracle would be you like Orpheus successfully completing what's something that's like a task or a challenge, his bid, I guess, for Eurydice to return, and the miracle of her being the first and only person to return from the underworld. But so it's like it's one of those like you gotta go into the belly, I guess, of Hamid. Or it's almost like in the belly of Amit, you find the womb. And are we born as the warrior? Question mark. The warrior that can slay the demon and awaken the void of the dynasty. I mean, in that case, it would be void because it was. I mean, yeah, I guess that was the deal with the devil, right? If you can make it out and not turn back, then you shall have your beloved Eurydice. Knowing that Orpheus would turn around, of course. It was like the illusion of not freedom, not choice, the illusion of victory or the illusion of a possibility. There's something about the illusion of a possibility here that's made real by this miracle. And again, am I gonna I'm not gonna re-roll these every time. But we did get 18. And Summer is number 18. We rolled 18 on the D20. What is 14 divided by 18? Because that's high. That was temperance. There's a temperance out of the moon. And the miracle. See, but I feel like there's a larger balance that is upset, kind of. Because people aren't supposed to return. Now, am I going to look before and after the warrior here? So what I was originally going to do, I was going to look before the hermit in the sepia toned edition, and then look after the hermit in the full color edition. But, and it did mention light. Okay. We got our flippers. I think the title card, yeah, the title card is part of the ones that flips. Bottom of the deck is the discerning one. But in this version, we see the dragon behind the person. Okay. And this could be like these two wands or the double vajra representing like the mouth of the cave or the entrance to the underworld. Right? And discernment is that sixth sense, that other faculty. Like, even if he couldn't hear or tell with his physical senses that Eurydice was still behind him, in that moment, it's like his discernment could have made him aware of her presence. And that would have been the thing that got him across the finish line and that returned her from the underworld. So to have the discerning one with this Ace of Swords, it's like the capacity to receive a revelation and the discernment to put it into a context or to understand it. Because there's a difference between receiving a revelation and understanding one. The cards that came out, the Keeper, the Blind Seer, and the title card. And again, there's the energy of like a threshold here. Now, the Blind Seer is justice, question mark? Because again, we have like this double justice. This is the one that can't see. That's the discernment that does. Question mark. I guess I'm not even looking because these cards flipped over. Anyway, low hanging fruit would be, seems like there is a sword. Does the sword make them warrior? Or is the sword just... Now, I feel like also with the Seeker, it's almost like someone that's gone into the belly of Amut of their own volition. because it's the seeker, right? So it's less like judgment. I guess Orpheus is interesting because it makes me think of, there was an energy that used to come out about someone who had like found themselves in the underworld but who didn't die. And so there was nothing binding them to that realm. Now, there are a few things that one can do in the underworld that makes them incapable of leaving. For example, if someone in Greco-Roman mythology, specifically Greek, I guess, if someone were in the underworld and ate the pomegranate, then that would mean they would have to stay there. The fruit of the underworld would be the thing that binds them to the underworld. But if they didn't die and they didn't eat pomegranates and they didn't do anything else that would bind them to the underworld, they can leave at any point in time. They may not necessarily be aware, or they might forget. And so maybe this Ace of Swords is the knowing that someone isn't bound to a certain type of situation that they find themselves in. Someone can leave at any point in time. And it's almost like all you have to do is seek the exit. Seek the exit, trust your intuition and discernment, and you will find your way out. There's no visible sort of exit because it's not something that is supposed to be able to happen, right? No one sort of escapes the underworld. Typically, the living don't get there, go there. You know what I mean? Now, this womb implies, with the warrior, the womb implies that someone will be reborn in some way. New World Order, Crown of the Magi. Oop. With the Archangel of Healing. Angel who salves and purifies. Blind Seer at the bottom of the deck. New World Order, Crown of the Magi, salving and purifying with the Blind Seer. The Blind Seer now sees, but she doesn't see with her eye. She sees with that eye of providence, or that divine eye. It's like a third eye awakening. Kind of, maybe. I don't know. Cool. That's Mortifactio. Sort of like to generalize it, for someone that has found themselves in a circumstance that they don't deserve, but who may have forgotten that they're not bound, they shall be reborn. And it's almost like, because the question was, like, that's not something that's supposed to happen. And so it's almost like it's impossible for a mortal to return from the underworld. And so in order to like fulfill the terms in that bet and to preserve that order of no mortal being able to return from the underworld, it's almost the energy of like someone becomes more than mortal when they return, or when they cross that threshold. And so it's like, well, how did this person return? I thought no mortal was supposed to return. It's like a mortal didn't return. They're no longer mortal. They returned as something else. As an ostrich. I don't know. Cool. Okay, let's just continue. Scintillae, sparks of light with the kiss. Let's edit. It's looking like it's going to be 154.50 something. I probably could just do 154.50. I could do 154.54 to be real cute. Yeah, let's get cute. Let's be cute today. Why not? Oh, and now it's 155. Just kidding. I mean, that's only like 10 seconds, but it's fine. I was going to be cute, but I cannot. I will not lie just for the sake of a cute timestamp. 155.20. There you go. We could do 155.23. And it is actually 155.25 now. Anyway, cool. All right, next Scintillae. The Kiss. Sparks of Light. Oh, I do need to see the number. This is 46 and 60. 46 in the alchemy, 60 in the archetype. XLV, XLVI. Scintillae. Or is it Scintillae? Scintillae. This is hope, sensation, and exhilaration. The Scintillae card arrives just in the nick of time, leaving a trail of celestial light to guide the way. Follow these flickers as if they are alchemical clues, guiding you to an illumined state. When this card appears, it's likely there has been a lull or void of direction in the laboratory. Some may even say the lights have been turned off. But in the deep void of darkness, a messenger of hope arrives, flickering and shimmering with enthusiasm. You might feel the Scintillae as a childlike giddiness, the presence of magic, a vision in a dream, or a simple readiness to wake up from a long slumber. Follow the physical body, follow the tingling sensations of aliveness within, and you will not be led astray. Vitality, clarity, and inspiration are within your reach. You are alive. You are a vital being. Appreciate this moment. One spark leads to the next. And then we got the Kiss. Did you feel fireworks? Yeah, girl. I felt beyond fireworks. It was like being in the heart of a blazing sun. I don't know. Anyway, let's calm down, shall we? The Kiss. This is the touch, the chemistry, the sex. Before a first kiss, the air is electrified. Each breath is alive with possibility and magic. What will their lips be like? Their tongue? Do they want me in return? The archetypal energy of the kiss is a heightened sensation of merging with other, of letting in what was moments ago separate. To become one. It is risky but beautiful business. These moments forever change us as we move past the solitary self toward union and acceptance. This card suggests true intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. When the kiss takes a non human form, it may be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart. Okay, what do we do with all this? I don't even know if I want to use the same deck. Scintillae, Sparks of Light. I feel like, girl. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give each of these a cut and a shuffle. The title card and the journeyman. Title card at the cut. Wow. A cut. I'm gonna do a shuffle and a cut. This will be the heart here. We have the ferryman, Six of Swords. And then I'm going to do the same over here. And then I'm going to pull before and after the corresponding cards to get, that's one of those, one of these, and a cut. And we have the Shining Waters over here, Waves of the Undine. So, before and after the ferryman, which is the quester in this deck. Is this at the top of the deck? Literally, it's the second card. So we get a before and after. The Blind Seer is back. The Blind Seer and the Archangel of Glory. Here. Bottom of the deck is the Initiate. Blind Seer and Archangel of Glory. Here. And then, a moment. Oh. And then we're looking before. Oh, wait, no, as it is, because I've already shuffled it. The Shining Waters in this deck is the Shining Dew? Question mark? The Shining Dew, and it's right there. Between the Archangel Commander and the Dynasty. I laugh because I saw, I don't know if it was at the cutter at the bottom of the deck. The Archangel Commander was with the Discerning One. And the lore of the Archangel Commander in this edition, in the Vitruvian edition, the lore of the Archangel Commander is the one that teaches us how to use that sword, the sword that we find. So maybe that's how/why the Eurydicean energy returns as more. It's not a mortal that returns. It's the master of the mystic light. That's the warrior. And the dynasty. Again. And these were before and after that Shining Dew. Let's get a little space. So we have the Kings of Wands and Swords, Angel of Storms and Battles, Usque ad Finem. And the Archangel of Glory, Angel of Art and Grace. It's fine. Ad Finem should be like to the end. Usque, is that from the beginning to the end? Because I know Abovo Usque ad Mala is everything from eggs to apples. So Usque is like from, right? To the very end. Famously used as a battle cry or motto signifying a willingness to fight or persevere until the end. Frequently featured in heraldry. So, my take on this, because there was that trail of celestial lights that we follow in Scintillae. This one is interesting because with the Archangel Commander and it's almost this energy of knowing that one has to like fight for something with that Archangel Commander, or there's the willingness to go to, it's almost like there's a willingness to go to war to solve some kind of a problem or to see something through. But it's like there's a willingness to go to war, but is there a willingness to like to sit down and have a conversation? Is there a willingness to discuss things? Is there a willingness for a peaceful way to reach a sort of conclusion, as much as there is a willingness to use violence? Now, with the Archangel of Glory, the angels the angel of art and grace, is the blind seer. So it's like there may not in some situation be able to see a way to resolve something like peacefully or without violence, but it exists. And maybe that's where the miracle comes into play here, right? Because with the Archangel Commander is the dynasty. So it's the energy of something that could have spanned like generations, or it's the energy of something that has like long reaching impacts. And because of that, it may be difficult to see an outcome that doesn't match the violence that's already been sort of done. And it can be any kind of violence. It doesn't have to be like it's like physical body through direct, like starving someone or limiting their opportunities or their access to certain resources is also violence, right? Or like continually standing in someone's way or serving as a roadblock could be like violence, right? If it's one of those, you'll never work in this town or in this industry again, like that could be considered violence. And so, again, it's like, I don't know. There's it's like there's no other way. There doesn't seem to be another way. And maybe also with the Two of Swords, it could be the energy of like, and the Knight of Cups is here, which is interesting because, like, with this energy of war, with Cups here, it's interesting because I had a conversation with somebody earlier about how they kind of discourage someone from going into the service. And I was like, why? And the person was like, well, because that person was tenderhearted. Like they've always been tenderhearted. And of course, when you put a tenderhearted person on the front lines, they're going to have a reckoning within themselves. And the reckoning was had, and in some ways, it's still being had. Um, so, like, sort of borrowing from that. But here, like, there's this urgency or immediacy in no other way, even if one is desired or wanted. So, the sparks of light here would be like these little intuitive nudges, maybe. Maybe with the miracle, they'll get louder or the path will be made clearer. Again, this could play into the timing of like as Neptune retrograde is still fresh. There are things, there's like clarity that's coming. We're being able to discern like fantasy from fiction or like fairy tales from fantasies. One is fantastical and real, the other one is fantastical and made up. But this miracle, it's like the miracle helps someone see the path to resolve something gracefully, diplomatically here. On the side of the Six of Swords, which is moving forward to calmer waters, we have the angel of art and grace with that blind seer. And with the waves of the undine, Knight of Cups could be like the emotional toil or the emotional impact of something. And the emotional impact is what would drive someone that's usually tenderhearted to violence, right? Because love can do a lot of things to a lot of people, especially when external forces are involved. But again, for a certain tenderhearted type of person, even if like a wrong is righted, through violence, there's still a potential price they'd have to pay for it. And this is a way to right or wrong without paying that price. And it creates the potential for a new precedent to be set. And maybe that's the miracle, because maybe we don't have a lot of those. But with that precedent being set in one way, it becomes the inspiration for many things. Almost like if there was some kind of famous treaty that like actually worked, and then there were like changes and reparations and stuff like that, so that people would have something to reference if they ever find themselves in a situation similar. It's almost like because there is no precedent, or because we may get caught up in like the vindication or the fear of retaliation, it makes it seem impossible. Like it brings to mind Kurukshetra, and how it's almost like by the end, it's almost like the person that was the main perpetrator almost like realized he was fighting a losing battle, almost came to like realize his wrongs, but he was like, they're not going to forgive me for what we've already done. He was like, there's no way they're going to forgive us for what we've already done. So at this point, we have no choice but to continue fighting, because we're not just going to like lay down our lives, right? Or again, it's like it's a fear of retaliation or retribution or whatever that may keep some from coming to the table. And so maybe it's many people. And I feel like in this day and age, that can very much so be a miracle. You know what I mean? But a miracle that like keeps on giving. Because again, it's almost like once the precedent is set, or once a framework is presented, and after success is found, then it becomes easier. But it takes a lot from all sides to reach that point. But hey, the energy of miracles is on the table. So why I'm not gonna, sparks of light, scintillae, let them fly. Oh, also the Empress, Gloria Mundi Arania's gate is at the bottom of the deck over here. I know I mentioned the Initiate. Oh, look, there's the Erudite, the Nocturne, and the Haunt. The Erudite is the Hermit, the Nocturne is the Two of Pentacles, the Haunt is the Nine of Swords. Which again can be that not only, again, on one hand, it's maybe the fear or apprehension towards retribution and retaliation. On the other hand, it's the managing, I guess, all the feelings, coming to terms without it necessarily being, violent. The demon, the angel of mysteries, archangel of mysteries, and the captor is here. I feel like that kind of plays into the things that we never really see because of what we view as impossible, in combination to those fears and needs, desires, the need for vindication versus the fear of retribution and retaliation. Well, not versus, because they're sort of both there. Okay. Then 214, maybe 214, 41. Can we be cute for this last one? Maybe not. Let's see. I'm not going to twist the timestamp, just 214, 50. It did say 214:41, but by the time I typed it, anyway, here we are. A second early instead of a few seconds late. Last but not least, we have Aries Mars in reverse and the river upright. 34 and 5. Yes, I'm reading. We're going to read the river first. Open the book to the underworld. 34. That's 25. 53. 38. 32. 34. The river. The stream, the flow, the current. Is this current as in a river current? Is it current as in electricity? Is it current as in the now moment? There is a reason so many rituals of change and rebirth take place in the river. It is forgiveness embodied in physical form. Without asking anything in return, the river washes away what is no longer necessary, smoothing over sharp edges and accepting all our mistakes and grievances. Once we step in, we are no longer in control. The river carries us farther down the stream of transformation than we plan to go. Its waters have a special gift for reflecting back to us a new and dreamlike vision. Once the tears have passed, we see ourselves as we haven't before, with a little more lightness, grace, and fluidity. Keep in mind that you. What? Oh, okay. Keep in mind the you that stands within the river is the real you, full of deep emotion and potential, nothing to hide, nothing to judge. May you drink in the sight of your true self. Okay, may you drink in the sight of your true self with the Mars in reverse, with the Aries in reverse, and then there's the Roman. No, Mars is Roman. There's the Greek Aries, Ares, and then there's like the zodiac sign Aries. This is an Ares, Aries, even though Aries is Mars ruled. So the Aries is ruled by Ares, but they're different. Why are we keeping that in mind? I don't know. Aries, will, vigor, and activism. With Mars by our side, we can assert ourselves in the world. Our presence is felt and our voice is heard. Like a flame, Mars rises upward and helps us stand strong for what we believe in. Social justice movements are great examples of Mars's energy in action. With clarity of purpose, Mars leads us to peaceful change, the upholding of human rights, and representing the unrepresented. When Mars appears in a reading, there is strength and vigor required to face the challenges ahead. It may take the form of speaking your truth, getting yourself out of a harmful relationship or job, or getting involved in activist work. As alchemists, we must be very precise with our dosage of Mars, as in uncontrolled amounts it leads to outbursts and violence. Mars is most potent when paired with ahimsa, nonviolence. Now, this is an interesting combination because Mars is standing in the river. So there's a truth to Mars behind what we see or notice, fear, overly emphasized question mark as violence. There's something deeper. There is something deeper there. There's a truth of Mars outside of what it's come to be. Where is Mars right now? That's hilarious because I was going to grab my iPad to get on Time Nomad, but I didn't. So I was like, I'm not going to go there today. Excuse me, guess I'm going back to the Astro Matrix. It's 10 o'clock. I was like, it's so early for Duolingo to be giving me a notification about my streak. But I guess it isn't. It's almost the next day. Almost tomorrow. Almost 7-Eleven. And I'm not talking about the gas station. I've never been to a 7-Eleven. Also, apparently, Astro Matrix said, nah. So it's fine. It's not about where Mars is. Mars could be anywhere. Anywhere that Mars is. in the zodiac would not necessarily be this river. Now, with Mars, Mars is associated with the tower. Right? The tower is Mars, Aries is the emperor. Mars is also Scorpio, also rules Scorpio, which is death. So emperor plus death equals the tower. I could see that. Either by way of passing or by way of like, if there's like good emperor energy that passes, then it's like, well, who's going to inherit the throne? Because the emperor did it with such emperorly grace and wisdom and dignity. And the throne is a power that would corrupt or bring out the tendencies of certain individuals. Like, we'll never find an emperor like the one that we're like the one we just lost. Or it's the emperor that's put to the blade because of, all of those qualities that he or she doesn't exhibit. So, and then the people get fed up. Either way, it's a tower. Either way, there is a lot of consideration for how things move forward and who is to be the one to take on that mantle. Interesting. Also, with Aries in reverse, this is the glyph for water. Upright, it's fire. And reverse, it's water. And we have the river. Now, if Aries is coming out, if Mars is coming out as water, and we have the river, then it's giving Scorpio, right? Because Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Now, no, why am I thinking of the necromancer? The moon in the SKT is the gateway of resurrection. Scorpio is death. I mean, death and resurrection. So I could look before and after the Reaper in the Vitruvian edition, and then the Necromancer in the Revelations edition. But, or Judgment, right? Because the Necromancer implies a necromancy, which is the risen dead or the dead rising as some kind of undead, whatever. I mean, not necessarily through implication of the actual energy. And there's something about this river, I guess, that is like stripping away all context and things that we put on something to the truest essence of what it is. I guess there's something in the necromancer, even if we leave out the energy of undeath. I feel like the necromancer implies like a returning, and the result of judgment implies a rebirth, and they're different. I honestly, I honestly kind of don't want to pull any more cards for this because it's almost like any deck that I would use. Almost like any deck that I would use would play into the energy of what Mars has become, or how we interpret its energy. Like anything created wouldn't necessarily get to the truth of it. Now, I could open up that program that I was talking about at the top of the video and literally just keep hitting the reroll until we get Mars and 2 other energies. Who knows how long that would take, but I kind of want to go for it. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm gonna do it. I guess we're gonna do it. Would you like to see? Sure, might as well. I don't know how long this is gonna take. I will say that for the sake of brevity, for the sake of as much brevity as we can get, Mars doesn't have to be in the middle, as long as it's there somewhere. As long as it's there somewhere, that will be fine. And is this random? Oh, now both of these, I'm doing the dice roll. I think dice roll is the one that I finished. I never, after I built these and got them to a space I like, I was like, you know what? I'll use the ones that I finished, and the ones that I still have to update. It's been not a full year yet, I don't think, since I did this. No, because that would have been the end of last year. Um, I may did it yet, but I built the one where you can choose how many dice you roll to also work for random. So it has text boxes that you can put in the number of times you want to roll that dice. But if you put an R, it'll just randomly sort of pick. Now, I did determine what random is. Right. So for the D20, maybe like it'll randomly pick 0 to 5. I think the D4 randomly picks like 0 to 2. So it may not roll anything. It may roll once. It may roll twice. Anyway. Okay. So let me get into my OBS bag real quick. Let me add a window capture. We'll just commandeer this one. Hey, look, it's already there. It's already there. It's already got what I need. All I gotta do is show the window, and there we go. Apparently, this is where I'm at today. And we're gonna do the whole thing. Well, yeah, we'll just do the whole thing. I'm gonna move this over here. Oh, wait. I guess it's fine. Y'all don't need to see me. You know what I look like. Now, do I just make them all random? Or do I do 3? I'm just going to go pure random. We'll do Mars reverse plus the river as the prompt. I think I got this set up the way I want it. I really hope I do. R for random, R for random, R for random. So we're going to keep going until we see Mars pop up. Now, yeah, it'll have to be in the D100 category. And I'm just going to keep hitting this generate button until I see Mars. So number 1, no. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, which would have been cute because that's the ICC number, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, Aries 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 76. Mars, Venus, and the Sun, throat and sacral, fire and water. Everything else is null. Okay, finally. What was that, 76? Was it 76? I said it and I literally just forgot. You know what? Let me go back real quick. I'm going to go back real quick. 76. 7 plus 6 is 13, which is death, and death corresponds to Scorpio. 1 second. Okay, it is 76. 76, 7 plus 6 is 13. 13 is death. Death corresponds to Scorpio. Scorpio is Mars, water, watery Mars energy. And it's fire, it is Aries, and it's water, it is Scorpio. So it's interesting. It took 76. Also, the number today is 31. 31 is the mirror of 13. So I was like, it'd be cute if it were 31. But anyway, so there we are. This is what we got for true Martian energy. Mars, Venus, and the Sun. It's interesting that it came out with planets. Also, between Mars and Venus, you get all 4 elements. Mars gives you fire and water. Venus gives you earth and air. That is Aries, Scorpio, Taurus, and Libra. Right? Aries opposes Libra, and Taurus opposes Scorpio. 1728 or 1278. The Sun, Mars, Venus, the Sun, the throat, the sacral, fire and water. I feel like I did all that just to. No signs, no arcana, just planets. The throat and the sacral. Both of those in expressive um, modalities, which is interesting because we start with the womb. And then so to have the sacral in an expressive way rather than a receptive one is interesting. Excuse me. I don't know what I'm doing with this. Let's see. Now, we have the great alchemical operation of fire and the great alchemical operation of water. Fire is calcinatio, I think, calcification. Water um, is it separation? That's the great alchemical operation of water. Honestly, I don't know what this one. Mars, Venus, and the Sun. So this is Mars standing in the river, washing himself of all of the blood, of all of the battles, of all of the everything that it has become, and returning to the truth of what it is. Now, Mars and Venus are our planetary neighbors, right? I feel like the throat and the sacral, it's things that we create with our words. Kind of. But yes, on one hand, an expressive throat and sacral can be like things we create with our words. But I almost want to say it's our words, what our things that our words receive, right? If someone says a word, then the person hearing what's being spoken fills those words with meaning. In that person's mind, they ascribe meaning to those words. Maybe the miracle here would be making sense of all of this. Let me stop. Um, there is a returning to the truth of something, though, and it's something and for the energy to show up as planetary um, entities rather than a major arcana, minor arcana, zodiac. I feel like there may be something here about not only getting to see the truth of something, but it's like growing or reaching a point to utilize. It's like both what the thing has come to mean and what the thing means. The truth of what it is and the truth of how it appears to be, or what it appears to be, or what it has been made to appear to be. And maybe there's a way here to speak truth to something and to awaken the truth within the thing. Almost like speaking a true name or something like that. So maybe that's it. Because, like, the sun, that energy of the sun could be the thing as it was created to be. And then the energy of Venus could be the thing as it has been born into this world in reality and our conception and understanding of it. And to speak something's true name is to put it back in the hands of the creator, or for it to return to what it was, to return to a truer state. So there's a fire that is lit, and the waters of like a greater, grander cosmic flow, like a fire of understanding, and the water of returning to an original flow, or flowing in a greater current, the river, the current, flowing in a greater current. A current of light and lights rather than, it's almost what, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which is so interesting how that saying is completely flipped. It's almost like a complete 180, because when a lot of people say blood is thicker than water, there's like the implication that your family, like that familial bond, the blood that you share, is stronger than anything else with the water of friends, the world, whatever. But in truth, it's the blood of the covenant. So, like, chosen family is thicker than the water of the womb, the one that you're born into. So it's like a complete 180. Anyway, I almost want to something miraculous in that as well. Because there is something of truth to Mars, right? Either it is something that we're passionate about to take up arms or to do whatever. It is something that lights us up. It's related to a truth, or the violation of truth. Cool. All right, I think we're gonna get final cards here. 240, 250. Shuffle and cards is 24300. And I haven't timestamped the top of this, but that's fine. Okay, cool. That's whatever this was. So the favors, I guess, that I'm calling in are those three things. Calling in a miracle. And again, I love it. There's an energy of justice that's like already there. Maybe in all those ways, there is some kind of something about divine law. Okay, we got our final prime muse double major face down already. Love that. Prime muse double major face down already. Already. Prime muse double major face down already. Already ready. It's already ready, baby. I feel like I ate. Didn't I eat? Maybe I didn't. I'm feeling hungry now. I don't think I've eaten, actually. Have I had real food today? It's like I woke up, had some donuts, took a nap, went to sleep. Woke up, got more donuts. Oh, goodness. And then came life. So, oof, there's been a lot of sugar had today. A lot of sugar has been had. The brownie is the bottom of the deck. The brownie or the brony? I think it's like the brony. Or the mystical creatures. Mythical, not mystical. Mythical, not mystical. You, yourself, and you. Me, myself, and I. Cool. All right. Well, there you go. All this just for a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a push. A little bit of a nudge and a push. We sit in a time where miracles are on the precipice and the cusp of happening. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit extra for you to, tap into the truth of who you are, for you to see the paths to realization beyond the ones that you see, for you to emerge and to be liberated from situations that you are not bound to, neither by happening nor circumstance. Cool. All right. So the final prime use double major is the star. And this is the star that's pouring out water. Last time we saw the star, she wasn't. There's a peacock in that tree? Never noticed that before. Does she always have her foot in the water? Let's see. Can we censor it with the light? Yeah, almost. Does she always have her foot in the water? Goodness. I'm trying to. Let me find the light. There we go. Is her foot always in the water? And she's like, no, because I think she's usually standing. And she's actually kneeling here. Maybe that's the energy of like the miracle. It is a little bit more attention than usual. She draws nearer and pours with a little bit more intention. Bottom of the deck is the hermit. That self same hermit. But again, like he's looking at the fire or looking down. He may be asleep. He might be asleep. And the fire's just keeping him warm. But is this that water and fire of Mars? Maybe that's but yeah, that plays into that energy of like measuring, balancing, integrating, utilizing the truth of what something is and what it appears to be. There's the fiery truth of Mars, and then there's the watery truth of Mars. And maybe somewhere in between is a deeper truth. I think maybe that's the thing too. Again, for Amit to come out as the mythical representative, and for Amit to come out as the mythical energy represented as that Knight of Pentacles, like again with the if you ain't, I guess, on your P's and Q's, this is a favor that I would just leave on the table. And it's not one of those things that we can sort of like justify and do this and do that, right? But Yeah, there's an increased attentiveness and attention with that star energy. She's like knelt down, her foot is there, she's like closer to the water. I don't know. Let's get a star dragon. 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 What's the final star dragon? I need to do my Duolingo. I need to get something, put something in my belly. I need to go to bed. Okay, Star Dragon. Final Star Dragon. I guess I am going to roll those a final time because they're still out. Oop. We got 215 again, which is Tranquility, Harmonious Inaction, and 16 Destruction, Releasing Your Anger. I almost want to like mix them, right? Like tranquility, releasing your anger, and then destruction, harmonious inaction. Harmonious inaction, being a destructive force, is very much like a um, it's one of those like when you've made your own bed and you have to lie in it type of energies. Don't do the crime. If what is it? If you can't pay the time, then don't do the crime or something like that. If you can't pay the time or the fine, then don't do the crime. Anyway, this duo is our final. Tranquility, harmonious inaction, destruction, releasing your anger. Releasing your anger through harmonious inaction and the tranquil destruction. See, tranquil destruction, that is giving the energy of Scintillae, the kiss, where it was finding that other way. Bottom of the deck is inspiration. Inspiration being related to what we receive from the divine, right? There's intuition, discernment, and inspiration. Divinely inspired to do nothing and watch it all burn to the ground. I ain't even roll these yet. Okay, let me roll these, I guess, as I put them back. We got a critical failure. There's a crit failure on the D20. See, that's how I roll. But also, so there's a 1 on the D20 and a 1 on the D12, a 5 on the D8, and then a 7 on the D10. Now, the D20 is a crit fail. The D20 being a crit fail is like there's no way to lose. Maybe that's why there's harmonious inaction, because inaction is harmonious. With the D20 being a crit fail, there's nothing you have to do. Now, 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 7 is 13. So 6. So 1 plus 5 is as it would. No, no. Yeah, yeah. Because D12 plus D8 equals D20. The D10 is the assist, right? So it takes it from a 6 to a 13 with the 7. Um, yeah, harmonious in action, destruction. 13 is death. It is death and rebirth, renewal. There's a renewal after this destruction. but you ain't got to do nothing. Is that a different scenario? I don't know, but that's what the dice said. Inspiration. So maybe your inspiration will almost take you elsewhere as something is being resolved, right? So, like, if there's something that you're worried about or something that's pressing on your mind, with the D20 is what we need, the D12 plus D8 is what we roll, and then the D10 was like, I don't know, my part. Again, you can't lose. There's nothing lower than a 1 on the D20. If something critically fails, then it's automatically a success on the other part, right? And so it's almost like there is an inevitability to, like, the wheel of fortune is going to change. Circumstances are going to change. And it's like what you're inspired or led to now is to give you a heads up or an idea of how you want to move forward after things change. For example, with the emperor and death, right? Whether for ill or for good, the emperor energy is, and so something else is coming next. Is it going to be an emperor as good as the last one? Is it going to be an emperor better than the last one? Is it going to be an emperor that's worse or as bad as the last one? It feels like that inspiration and the transition and transformation of, because there's the energy of the lovers, which can be a decision and alignment and commitment. And then with the chariot, it's elevated to death, which is transformation. So it goes from like a decision and alignment to an experience as the wheel of fortune is sort of turning. And again, it's like that inspiration kind of sort of informing you of what you can do or how you may want to navigate moving forward, right? It's like working to get to a certain point, but then not necessarily knowing what to do next. The inspiration is coming or happening now so that you know what to do. Cool. I guess I should have put dates on that, right? So it begins, if it resonates, and if you want to walk that path of truth and honesty and being under the microscope, because that divine attention is drawn way close to the surface of the water. And that hermit lantern, again, the fire called the Dragon of Miracles. It was until August, like August 21st, 2026, is the window, the initiatory window. And then the whole cycle, season, whatever, is open until October 23rd. After, I mean, you always have your own good karma, intuition, discernment guides, the ways that things will play out for you. It's not absolutely necessary, but just that, you know, if I can call in a favor, that's the favor. And I feel like that, honestly, it aligns with things that like I would want to. You know what I mean? Cool. I was real worried for a second. But again, with Amut, it operates under divine law. And nothing can bypass divine law. So that's why the goblin. What was that? What's a goon to a goblin? I never knew. It was just a thing that it was like on Vine maybe back in the day. Sasquatch? No, the Minotaur. I want a clean flipper fall. Okay. Final mythical creature, please. Do we need a final mythical creature? I mean, does it make sense within this context to get a final mythical creature? Kind of, sort of, not really. The plumed serpent. So I think it was the last time I used this deck. We saw the plumed serpent and the basilisk. The plumed serpent was the one, rising. So yeah, love that as the final card. Bottom of the deck is the jackalope. It means nothing to me. The jackalope's at the bottom. The plumed serpent was the one that came out. I will read you their keywords. How about that? We'll start with the jackalope first. And then we'll read the plumed serpent. I think the plumed serpent was page 124. Let's see. It was 104 and 124. Yeah. Plumed serpent is 124. I remembered. Jackalope is on page 102. So the one before the basilisk, right? Basilisk was 104. There's 102. No, 104 is something that I haven't seen. See, there's a whole family of these. Okay, maybe not. All right. So the jackalope's keywords are joker, absurdity, irony, humor, comic relief, playfulness, mischief, mockery, trickster, exaggeration, tall tales, false rumors, and implausibility. The jackalope comes from tall tales of the American West. Pioneers and woodsmen entertained each other with stories of this and other absurd creatures known collectively as fearsome critters. The jackalope is indeed fearsome, infamous as a mischievous trickster, known to imitate the sound of a human voice to deceive hunters. Not surprisingly, it is virtually impossible to catch. Jackalopes are the hybrid offspring of a jackrabbit and a pronghorn antelope. They can also reproduce on their own, but only during storms that have lightning and hail. Taverns and hunting lodges sometimes display taxidermic jackalope mounts as a joke. The jackalope may be related to other trickster rabbits of folklore, such as the Brer Rabbit, Monobozo, and even Bugs Bunny. The plumed serpent, intelligence, innovation, science, civilization, worldliness, ideas, fertility of the mind, order, planning, logic, reason, rational thinking, and smart leadership. In the card meaning paragraph, the person who is represented by the plumed serpent archetype is intelligent, logical, and organized. Granted, his workspace may not appear organized to onlookers, yet this person is sure to know where everything is. He is meticulous about everything he does. He is the kind of person who must know how everything works and why. He will catch every detail and analyze it thoroughly. When he appears to be sitting and doing nothing, he is actually running through obstacle courses and marathons in his mind. Nothing is simple to him because he breaks everything apart and expounds upon it on levels that most people do not. This person is fully content with his own hyperlogicality. He may even assume incorrectly that other people think things out to a similar extent. He is a perfectionist and has a tendency to micromanage. I was like miscromanage to micromanage. He may also come across as emotionally detached due to being highly cerebral. Cool. Interesting. You got this mischievous, playful, trickstery jackalope with this like rational, logical, intelligent plume serpent. So we're getting it's fine. It is fine. I think is this a deck that I ordered off of Instagram? And it actually it was legit. Every now and then I'll get what I actually paid for. And it'll delude me into getting more stuff off of Instagram and either not getting what I ordered or not getting anything at all. Now, to be fair, I guess that one was like a Kickstarter, so I think that's the thing with like Kickstarter. Sometimes it don't work out. And I thought I had signed these. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. Anyway, I think that was also too probably in one of those moments before like shipping got really crazy and hectic and not impossible but challenging. Anyway, story of my life. Story of my life. I'm learning to be like, no, I want my money back. Instead of just like, oh, well, I guess they got me this time. Okay. Wild Unknown Alchemy. You are next. We have the fog and rotation. Rotatio and the fog. This is the great alchemical operation of air, I think. Air that can blow away the fog. Or call it in. Flip it around. Wicked Witch. I watched that like whole movie. It was like a week after I saw Wicked for Good, I think, when I was seeing all the Wicked Witch. I was like, oh, what? Oh my gosh, it was right there the whole time. Okay. Flip or fall, please. Final Wild Unknown Alchemy. Final Wild Unknown Alchemy. The new pearl in Chiron. Chiron in reverse with the new pearl upright. Well, upright enough. Chiron just moved into Taurus, didn't it? Maybe it left a pearl in Aries. Saw 12th house to me. Oof. Okay. Flip or fall, please. Like 2 to 3 cards at the max. 1 card would be lovely, but as many as you need. Or maybe we'll go with the something else first. I'll do 2 more. 1 more. And then I more often than not do the 0. All right, we'll do you later. Let's go for the SKT Vitruvian. We got the 4 of Swords, Convalescent with the Strength. Someone is like, their strength is building while they're at rest. Resting, building strength, victory, the Champion with the Convalescent. Sometimes you gotta take a break, step away, recuperate, recover, and then return triumphant. Or because there's a price that's paid in the Champion in this deck. So convalescing from the price that was paid to achieve victory. Right? Maybe there was some kind of exertion that one has to recover from. All right. Oh, 1 fell out, 1 flipped over. The Nocturne, 2 of Pentacles, 2 of Orbs fell out. Holy Water, Ace of Cups, Ace of Chalices, the Purifying. And then there's our Sacred Cinnabar again. Ace of Swords, the Consummating. Now, what's interesting about the Nocturne, this is interesting. The Nocturne is, there's the North Node world and the South Node world, right? North Node, South Node. Usually there's an energy of like before the snake releases its tail to make the transit, make the journey to the North Node world. But because of Holy Water, the Purifying, Ace of Chalices, it's like instead of making a trip or a journey, where we at is purified instead. There's something to be said about overcoming, I guess. or something to be gained in overcoming. This is so interesting. And there are two ships here. Because it's almost like there's a chance to board a ship, get on a boat, make that transit to that North Node world. And then the South Node world again goes through that purifying. But for some reason, it's like now that the South Node world is purified, whoever was on the boat to get to the North Node world wants to return back to the South Node world. But the Ace of Swords is there. So it's like it won't be easy to, because the severing happens. I don't know. It's like going and finding out the grass isn't greener. And now that the grass is green where someone was, they want to go back, but they won't be able to. I don't know. I mean, they do say that the grass is greener where you tend to it. So now that you've tended your grass, I don't know. I mean, low hanging fruit, that could be like you're in a relationship dynamic with somebody or something and they leave you because they don't think blah, 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 whatever. But then it's like after they leave, your wheel of fortune goes up, right? Right. Your grass is green. Maybe you find out that there's a little herbicidal attitude, right? That somebody came with that kind of killed the grass. And now that they see the grass is green, they want to come back. And, I guess we are in that Mercury retrograde season. But with the Ace of Swords, like, you'll see it. Ooh, Four of Wands, the Demiurge. Made noise like the Goblin did, but you got to flip a fall. Okay, well, she finished the flip. She completed the flip. She is the High Priestess, or the Priestess, Sanctuary of Isis. So, because this is the Sanctuary of Isis, bottom of the deck, Angel who salves and purifies, Archangel of Healing. We just saw the Ace of Cups, Chalice, or Ace of Chalices, the purifying. There's the Angel who salves and purifies, Archangel of Healing. We also saw her at the cut earlier. It's interesting because it reads like, of course, there are efforts that you put in, but it's like your efforts are matched. Maybe there was a situation, an environment, or a circumstance that you were in that, like, High Priestess energy couldn't reach you in. It's almost like the divine. It almost gives me the energy of that one spread. I remember we saw the Queen of Wands and the Page of Wands, I think. And it was that whole, like, the Page of Wands was the legitimate heir to a throne, but the Page of Wands had to go into hiding because something happened to the Queen of Wands. I guess the Emperor, death in the Emperor. The rightful heir had to go into hiding because the powers that be were making moves. And, at the time, the heir was a baby or a child. So, but it was that eventually ended up working out to, like, there could be some kind of bloody revolution to reclaim the throne. But at that point, you would basically be ruling, you would be king of, emperor of a wasteland because of all of the destruction that you had to sort of do to root out the corruption. But it was like, if you take the seed that you're given it was like that banished emperor, the banished child becomes the emperor, the ruler of a new land, of a land that they're actually supposed to go to. And it was an energy of like whatever that seed was, basically biologically, the environment that the person was born in isn't suitable for that seed to grow. And so even if again they were to reclaim the throne, the seed would never grow. But if they go in the direction that is for them to go in, they'll find an environment where that seed can like thrive, and then it creates a whole whatever. And it's like the further you are, like the closer you get to the destination, and simultaneously the further you get away from the other, it's like the more life that seed can sort of put out there. So basically, coming off of that to the Nocturne and the Ace of Cups, with the removal of something or with the change of circumstances, now the seed can grow. High Priestess and that angel who salves and purifies. Cool. All right. That wanted to be said before the archetypes in alchemy. The Threshold and Alethea. Truth. Capital T, capital R, capital U, capital T, capital H. Truth. Not just a capital T, lowercase R-U-T-H. All caps. With Alethea. And the Threshold. Interesting. The King and the Thread. Speaking of the King. Cool. All right. Clean flipper, clean fall, please. From the wall. Ooh, okay. We got a few that flipped out, and I think one also flipped over. Yeah, we have the vow that flipped over inside. Bottom of the deck is the animal. And what fell, we have the crone in reverse with the destroyer upright. The crone is 13. The vow is 54. The vow is also in reverse, kind of. The crone and the vow in reverse with the destroyer upright and the animal. Because the vow is in reverse, it gives the energy of like a promise that was made but that was not upheld. It's something, especially with the crone in reverse. There's something about the way that she's like grabbing that crow, almost trying to like squeeze the crow so that it'll let go of whatever that is. Like torturing the crow. Now it's interesting, the eye of the animal and the eyes of the destroyer. We have the tear in reverse under the animal with the thread mostly upright. Well, the tear reverse, it's like that's crocodile tear energy. More like the crone would be crying because they got caught, more so than they're crying out of the realization of what they've done. And I feel like that energy was kind of here. It wasn't like here, but it came out earlier. That like it's not true repentance or something. It was just someone who had got caught doing something. I don't remember where it was. Um, When that crow cries out, this destroyer shows up. And there was a vow, there was a promise that was made. Again, it's an energy of like, it's almost one of those like you give an inch and someone tries to take a mile, but then they kind of like mess with the wrong one. I got the right wrong one or the wrong right one. And yeah, consequences are what they are. Interesting. Now, the final alchemy. I'm ready. I mean, I guess I was ready before. Are you ready? If it doesn't give me a card in like 3, then I guess I'll like look into the book or something. We'll look into that crone in reverse and everything a little more. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. Okay. All right. The crone was number 13. That's 14, right? Yep, 13. The crone. It was the crone, the vow, which was 54. LID. Oh, 12. Yeah. The crone, the destroyer. It's sub 30. 23. The destroyer was 23. There it is. And then I just saw that animal, which is 19. See, look, I'm remembering numbers and everything. So let's read the taglines. The crone is the witch, the old woman, and the sage. What time is it? Duolingo is like, you better do your thing or lose your streak. The crone has seen it all. Nothing frightens or surprises her. She is the final manifestation in the feminine trifecta of maiden mother crone. In her long life, she's witnessed endless cycles of death, sex, failure, rebirth, conflict, and regeneration, giving her the ability to rise above the world of duality. She laughs at notions of good or bad, right or wrong, as she has seen the earth churning, smoldering, taking life, and giving life. The crone energy accepts everything in, devouring beauty and suffering with the same mouth, using their energy to reveal hidden secrets and knowledge. Her energy resides in all of us, though it is feared by most for its power and unconventional relationship with death and the macabre. Awakening the crone is dangerously rich and unapologetically magic. But she was in reverse. So, in all of that witnessing, it's almost like in witnessing those cycles of death, sex, failure, rebirth, conflict, and regeneration. With her rising above duality and laughing at notions of good and bad, right and wrong, it's almost like she, because the vow was in reverse. So either in all of that observation, there's something that she was missing. There was something that she was missing, something that she was not seeing, something that she didn't fully comprehend or understand that led her to rise above duality in a way that like invites consequence, right? What we see in nature, the cycles that we see in nature, most of it is out of necessity. It's not out of greed or self-interest or whatever. And when it's done out of necessity, that's one thing, right? You see one animal eat the other. You see the volcanoes erupt and then after however much time the forest regrow in that nutrient-rich soil or whatever. You see the rise and fall of this and that, but it's like there's a purpose and there's a reason to all of that. It's not random, it's not arbitrary, and it's not a ticket to do anything and feel like you can get away with it. In all of that necessity, there is a vow, there is a reason, something being fulfilled. It's not senseless. And something about the crown, she's lost her sense, she's gone senile. She's not some wise old sagey woman. Whoever that crone energy is, it's not a wise old sagey woman. It's someone that's gone senile and someone that's having some kind of power trip, that's done something to which there are very real consequences. The vow was broken. The destroyer is arriving, answering the cries of the crow that she's strangling in her hands, trying to get whatever kind of power or whatever. I don't know. And the animals see. The animals are like watching her do it. And the animals, again, like they know of those vows. It's not just random. It's, again, it's like, it's not to necessarily be aware and view everything and think that there's no point or no repercussion or no reason to anything. And the duality of nature is not the same as the duality of man, because we're not the same. We are of nature and we are natural, but we're not the same. Just like you don't expect, or you wouldn't expect the same intelligence, morality, decision making, and stuff from a baby to a young adolescent to a teen to even a young adult. Like you expect for children to behave in a way that's different than adults. And you don't hold necessarily children to the same standard that you do to adults, because adults should know better. And so to look at a child and to go, oh, well, the child doesn't have any repercussions. If a child commits this crime, then they get, I don't know what, a few weeks. They're charged as a minor. So me as an adult that has the wherewithal to know better, I should be tried as a child, because if a child were to do it, they would get, and it's like, no, a child is charged as a minor because they don't know better. There's not a do anything you want and get away with it card. Well, if you go out into nature, then, this happens and that happens. And it's like, yeah, but you have a consciousness and a reasoning that is different. And so your experiences and the bounds on your experience reflect the consciousness and reasoning that you have, or are supposed to have at the very least. And again, with that nocturne and the Ace of Chalices purifying, there's so much, even with the Plume Serpent, there's so much. Maybe that was like the jackalope that came out with the Plume Serpent a little bit. It's that, like we're almost convinced of abandoning where we are for somewhere else, only to get there and maybe realize it's not what we were sold. And now that where we came from is sort of thriving in our absence, mind you. Sometimes our absence is the key reason why things are thriving. Now we want back, and we want to get into the spaces, and we want to reap the benefits of everything that we didn't even contribute to. It's like, no. And when the destroyer comes, I guess that's a part of the cycle too. How about that? The crone just lives long enough for the wheel of fortune to turn against her. There is no evil. There's no malice. There's no bad when the destroyer comes for that crone who violated those vows. It just is what it is. It's nature taking its course. How about that? Anyway. Amit came out. We saw justice twice. Double justice behind that hermit. That's why I'm saying maybe this is like, if any of this sort of resonates, this would be one of those favors to just let go. Don't take this one. Because there's a lot of, again, that's the star energy was kneeling down. That dragon miracle, the dragon of miracles was coming down to the flame, to the fire. You don't call in the divine and then act like a fool. I mean, a lot of people do, but it's not necessarily wise. That's why I say that whatever that chrono reverse is, not a sage, she's senile. If she thinks And it's funny because what was that? Leap Day 2024, where we saw the Starborn, and it was that crone, the crone that thought she had a claim or a right to that Starborn energy, and she did not. Anyway, it's a warning, I guess, if it weren't implied enough with the energy of like truth and honesty and justice. And this ain't fooling Patrick to try to claim whatever energy. Patrick is calling it a favor. So if you can pull the divine, then maybe go for it. Anyway.
Like I can't get mad.
I can.
I heard that. You're right.
I'm just playing. I don't know if y'all heard him. He walked by. He was like, I can't get mad. I'm like, I can. Wow, gold in the earth's heart. Look at all that gold. See, look at all that. Destroying the planet to get to the gold. Girl. And it's like, okay, you can get some gold, but where are you going to live? To destroy the planet to get it? Okay. All right. Let me breathe. Let's clear the air. I've done so good. I've done so well. It's fine. It is what it is. Like, I'd rather be up front. I think I was, but it ain't necessarily come out. It's come out now. Maybe we get so used to playing in other people's faces and doing whatever. I don't know. There are just some forces with which I wouldn't. Look at that. Head of the Raven and Pluto at the cut. But that crone strangling that poor bird. At least the fox was clever enough to get the raven to sing, to drop the cheese. The fox ain't go up and start strangling the bird, trying to get it to drop what's in its mouth. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay. All right, I'm going to cut it. Then we'll shuffle final card from the Wild Unknown Alchemy, please. I got to do my Duolingo. I got a streak going, a friend streak with my #1 fan. So if there's any kind of accountability, I'll get it from her. Our streak. All right. Let's bring some levity back into the situation. All right. Final card. I'm going to just close my mouth and just keep on shuffling until we get one. Because, oh, there it is. Oh, goodness. The card that came out is Uranus. It's in reverse. Uranus actually came out recently. But with it being, so this is Uranus upright. With it being in reverse, it's like this hand is being extended with the gold. And then Saturn, through lead, the element of Saturn is at the bottom of the deck. Uranus is number 8. Saturn is number 20. Let's look at the keywords from the book. Plumum. Uranus is awakening, brilliance, and individualism. Interesting. Is that the Ace of Scepters? Sacred Fire awaken the... No, that's the page. In the SKT Revelations, the Page of Wands, the Herald of the Flame, is awaken the brilliance. Ace of Wands, Sacred Fire, is the awakening. And 20. Hello? So, plumum, lead. Density, weight, Saturn. Lead is the first metal. Its properties are heavy, dense, and unwaveringly steady. It is often perceived as the metal that initiated the entire alchemist drive to turn what is base into what is noble. It correlates to the planet Saturn and its love of rules and structure. On one hand, this card implies a fixed position or burden that may be weighing down the work. On the other hand, lead can arrive just in time to ground a situation, to bring an alchemist back to the humble beginnings. Either way, the presence of lead is sobering. We cannot ignore it. The impatient alchemist may be discouraged to see it in the laboratory, as it reminds us of how far we have to go. Approach this card with reverence for the ongoing process. And Uranus, awakening brilliance and individualism. When Uranus strikes, we are in for a surprise, not in the outer world, but in ourselves. What wasn't possible before is possible now, thanks to Uranus and its ability to shatter our perceptions. This shift in perspective or identity brings newfound freedom and opens up dormant energy. For an alchemist, this may be experienced as a long awaited aha moment or a sudden stroke of genius. Inventions and innovations are born under Uranus energy. This card may also appear to show us what is particularly unique about ourselves or another. A seemingly random or idiosyncratic quality may end up being the secret ingredient needed in the laboratory. The alchemist knows this radical energy isn't sustainable, and so the work is to show up each day whether or not Uranus strikes. Yeah. And I'll just leave it there. I ain't got to go in on that Cronin reverse energy because that Cronin reverse energy is the world itself may go in on that energy. And compared to that, what can I do or say? You know what I mean? Strangling those poor birds. Can you believe it? That's the thing. That's the hubris of mankind, in a way. We are clever, very smart, and we use our consciousness in ways that we do. But, the thing is, sometimes it's just a matter of time until our cleverness runs out, or, until we bite off more than we can chew. And then at that point, we got it coming. We got it coming. We'll only have ourselves to blame. Because ain't nobody else. Well, I'm not going to say ain't nobody else tell somebody to go out there and start choking birds. But at the end of the day, your discernment, intuition, and heart should have let you know that it wasn't necessarily the thing to do. When you rise above duality and there's no good, no bad, no evil, no right, no wrong, no whatever, it's like, even if that's the case, there's still balance. And if there's one thing that nature can and will do, is correct that balance. So, sometimes if you get something, come into an area, do whatever, try to take over. It's almost like, imagine that there is an area of abundance, right? And prosperity that is shared. Somebody gets greedy, they move into a place, they create fences and walls, and they overharvest to the point where it's like certain animals sort of starve. And because the animals are moving, then something else is moving. Now there's like a problem because the balance has been disrupted. When things were plenty, whatever this is, that like the hunting grounds were well stocked. But now that animals got to travel because all of the natural abundance is being absorbed into one thing, now that the hunting grounds is going to expand. And now the property that we established within that abundance lies in the domain of the hunting grounds, the expanded hunting grounds of whatever creature. Our imbalance invited that upon us, even in the absence of duality. Why is the absence of duality disrupt the balance free card? You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, cool. We don't have to linger on that. I would just say, I don't know. Take as it resonates again. I feel like this went from like a fun idea So like, is this even possible to what caveat emptor? Caveat emptor is like buyer beware, but there's nothing to. I mean, I guess we buy into everything, right? I didn't use Gemini this whole time, and I'm gonna ruin it now. Hey Google, flip a coin, please.
Heads.
Ooh. Gemini is AI and can make mistakes. Why, when I ask Gemini to flip a coin, it's like, hey, I can be wrong. But when I'm going on a word hunt with Gemini, where's that same warning? You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. Gemini said heads too. So there you go. I don't know. I feel like that is kind of my thing, if I think about it. You know, sometimes we could use a little miracle, and sometimes a little bit of prayer inches us a little bit as close to that miracle threshold as we need. That is my prayer. I hope truly that you have an amazing whatever in this next 6 to 15 weeks specifically. I hope that you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality and to, make that miracle real. I hope that whatever you need along your path journey and what you find, and I hope either your intuition, discernment, and wherewithal to abandon that which does not help you, even if it's me. Especially if it's me. Especially if it's me. Because I feel like there's a part of me that's like, I wouldn't want to be a roadblock or to take someone off their path. But also at the same time, I don't know. It's just like life is too short. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later. I feel like I got some more nonsense in me, but maybe not. I don't know.